Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. The MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 105, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and joining me is my best pal, Brian Hall.
Hey! What's going on, Zaki?
Well, lots of stuff going on, lots that's new and exciting. Why don't you tell me what's new in your world?
Well, as people who've listened to the past couple episodes may have noticed, I have been slightly out of the loop with current movies. So I've been trying to...
I feel like every time I get on the call with you, you're like one step from death's door. You've been working yourself into a drunken stupor.
You know, yeah, kind of. The past couple of weeks have sort of been like that. So now, you know, that I can see the light again and relax, kick back a little bit more than I could have in past weeks, I've been trying to catch up on some viewing. And some of it we'll talk about later. But first off, what you have already talked about is I saw The Magnificent Seven, the remake.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
You know, I had heard that, you know, you said that you liked it, and I'd read some positive reviews of it, but I thought it was just okay, actually.
Yeah, I think that, well, I mean, that was my reaction too. But my whole thing was like, it's about as okay as the original, which I think is just okay too.
Sure. I don't know, there was something about it where I just couldn't get into it like I wanted to. And for being this sort of like get along gang kind of thing, and you know what I mean? Like all these guys getting together and we should like all of them. And I don't
think anybody has ever compared The Magnificent Seven to the Get Along Gang, by the way.
I probably am misusing that reference, to be honest. But
well, it was a cartoon in the 80s. You don't remember that, the Get Along Gang?
I don't know why I even said it, I'm going to be honest with you. I think I was just looking for... I might as well have said the Apple Dumpling Gang. I don't remember.
There you
But it just felt like it took a really long time to assemble everybody. I mean, almost like 45 minutes.
Agreed.
And normally getting the gang together should be kind of fun and cool. It makes me think of like Ocean's 11 or something like that, where it is actually, oh, this guy's kind of interesting, and here's the world he's coming from, and this guy's kind of interesting, and here's the world he's coming from. And I remember when they were doing the Chris Pratt part, there's a part where he's in a bar and he's seeing Denzel Washington being a badass, but then they have this moment, and that almost would have been enough.
Sure.
I won't get too into spoilers here, but basically what he does or doesn't do in that bar is enough to make him sort of interesting. Maybe they could talk or whatever. But then they go ahead and give him this solo scene that I actually found kind of weird and off-putting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
with the magic trick.
With the magic trick. Right? And I was sort of like, what? Like, do I like this guy? I don't know if I like this guy or not. And then it just, the whole putting the gang together thing I thought was like oddly episodic and didn't.
Sure.
So it that was how we started out with this movie. And then by the time, you know, we got to the end, which is obviously them defending the town against these criminals, I don't know. Something about it I just wasn't as invested in this as I wanted to be. Like pulling for the town and pulling for these guys. And obviously I want them to survive because they're the heroes and, you know, whatnot. But there was something about it where it just felt like all these things grouped together into a movie rather than like a cohesive, well-woven movie. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. I mean, I think for me, like I didn't walk out having, I wasn't like, oh, I want to watch it again, but I didn't feel like I'd wasted my time.
I'd agree with that because, I mean, I really did enjoy the setting, you know, and I enjoy Westerns and whatnot, and I enjoyed, you know, there's a lot of action.
And I think it's a very well-made film, I mean, in terms of the photography.
Oh, yeah.
And
it looks great. The action's really good. And actually, Ethan Hawke, I was really intrigued by his character and kind of what he was going through, and
well, and to that point, I mean, I think this is definitely what I appreciated is that you're pretty much like once the seven is together, you start, because it's not like an exact 1-to-1 remake.
Right.
So you're kind of like doing the math, like who is going to make it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I thought there were some surprises there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And then also, you know, you really you feel kind of bad for the this town. These people aren't action heroes. And so, there's the montages of them sort of training, and it doesn't look like things are going to go very well for them. And, that stuff obviously helps. So you're really pulling for them. But I don't know. Maybe I was expecting something that felt slightly more polished than it did. Sure. But, yeah.
You know what's funny, Brian, is that the truth is, like, the movie itself hasn't particularly stayed with me. But there was one part while watching it. The line delivery was just it was really weird to me, and for some reason I've always, like, that stayed with me.
What was it?
And it's this bit where Chris Pratt is, they're talking about, like, the bad guy's going to be coming, and Chris Pratt's like, well, he's going to be killed by the world's greatest lover. And it's so funny because I remember watching it and immediately being like, why did he deliver that line that way?
Right.
And to this day, I'm that's like what I'm pondering. Like, I'm wondering, was it one of those situations where he's reading the script and he's like, I don't know the motivation behind that. Like, and even as he's delivering it, he just can't find the heart to, he can't find a way into that line.
That's really funny.
Like, he feels embarrassed while he's saying it,
Right. Right.
The world's greatest lover. Like, folks, when you watch the movie, that's all you're going to notice.
Right.
So that's my memory of The Magnificent Seven, is Chris Pratt is very half-heartedly describing himself as the world's greatest lover.
Yeah. He's interesting, too, because he did feel like a modern person in the movie. And it's so interesting, Chris Pratt, because I really like the guy, right? He's great in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he... Now when I see him, just based on that alone, I'm like, oh, nice. I like him. You know what I mean? But I don't think he's found the best fits so far. Well, Jurassic World, and it was just kind of an awkward fit for him, I feel like. And it'll be interesting to see what Passengers is like.
I think that Jurassic World and Star-Lord and this are, in essence, the Chris Pratt character.
Yeah, but Jurassic World, he was kind of, I think, aiming for something else, right? Like, he didn't, like...
Well, I don't know where he aimed, but I know where he landed.
Well, he didn't joke, like, he wasn't like a wise ass necessarily. I mean, he was a little more stone-faced.
He was wise ass-ish. I mean,
he was, but he wasn't like a jokester. You know what I mean? Like, he was more like, I just actually caught like 10 minutes of it just yesterday on HBO, and he's just very, he's like, these animals weren't bred for whatever, like very serious, and it feels unnatural coming from him a little bit. I don't know. I just feel like that's the thing that happens for like the best actors, is they get to find the roles that they are best suited for, that they get to shine in. And I feel like he is like this new star, so they want to put him in star things. Yeah. But I think he's going to shine brightest when he's doing the thing that he does best. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So,
well, speaking of westerns, you've also I'm assuming had a chance to catch Westworld now, the HBO series.
Yeah, last time I hadn't caught it. I think just the pilot had aired. Now I've seen all three and I'm up to speed. Have you watched any of it?
I haven't.
Yeah, I this is a really interesting show in that I didn't expect it to become, online at least, what seems like the new Lost, where it seems like everybody has a theory about what's going on and who this person is and different potential timelines. And is this even taking place on planet Earth? Those sorts of things. And I was like, whoa, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know that's what I was getting into with this.
Right.
And I think with the pilot, I enjoyed it because I enjoy the premise, but something about it felt a little at a distance, a little cold. And even 2 episodes in, I was starting to feel like some of the secondary characters weren't really... I don't know if it was the actors or if it was the script or whatever, but I wasn't just buying it. They felt a little flat, and I was feeling a little disappointed because, I mean, the whole premise is really interesting, and it looks great, and the lead, people like Evan Rachel Wood is great, Jeffrey Wright, who plays one of the scientists, Ed Harris is great. They're all great. But like the secondary characters, which is tough because, I mean, you have to cut away to the other B plots and C plots. And if you are just yearning for the A plot again during the B and C, I mean, you're in trouble. And I think with episode 3, I was finally put at ease personally, where I was like, oh, okay. Like now I sort of feel like I see what they're going to do. Like 1 and 2 were sort of set up. And now with 3, I feel like the story is finally sort of kicked into gear a little bit. And I'm, as soon as it's ending, I'm ready for the next one. So
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this the show where they stopped production so that they could retool it?
Yes, and I wonder if that has something to do with it. For me, like, again, I mean, online, nobody else seems to be saying the things that I'm saying right now. Like, everybody seemed to have like really been right into it.
Everyone has really glommed onto it.
Yeah, but I don't know what I can't explain. Like I said, like the whole Ed Harris is this mysterious man in black, who seems very sadistic, and you got James Marsden as this poor, android who basically his whole existence is to like, either get killed or, get shoved out of the way so someone else can get killed. And like, there's something really interesting and intriguing about that whole premise. It's just whenever it comes to the people who are running this place, that's when I start to like, I don't know. Like I feel like these characters need a little more texture aside from just being angry at each other all the time. Like it seems like everybody there just is angry at each other, which like to me, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like if there's some people that don't get along, that's one thing. But aside from Jeffrey Wright's character, like I said, one of the software engineers, I'm hoping that they, to me, start making the behind the scenes of Westworld a little bit more interesting. But everything that goes on in the park, and they have just introduced, the point of view of 2 guests who come in and are experiencing this. One for the first time, one he's been here before, and he's excited to show this to the new person. That was when it got like really interesting, and you could that was like the viewer's entry point into what it would be like. Rather than observing as a show, it's like, what would it be like for you? What choices would you make, and what things would you be excited about and turned on by or turned off by? And so yeah, 3 episodes in, I'm really into it. So okay. I'll be curious what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm it's one of those things. I'll get to it hopefully whenever I can. But I do think it's interesting that the show is taking the opposite perspective of the movie, the 70s movie, which is that of the androids,
right?
As opposed to the people visiting the park. I think that only makes sense because, what can you really do with the theme park run amok premise that's truly original? Yeah,
and also stretched out over 10 episodes for one season, which I'm sure you hope you're going to get 50 of these things,
Sure.
Yeah.
I will say, just only tangentially related to this, a few weeks ago, just the day that the Westworld series was premiering, I did a Nostalgia Theater post on my website where I looked back at the previous Westworld TV series.
Oh, TV series! I forgot. Yeah.
There was there was the original film, and then a few years after that, there was the sequel called Future World. And then a few years after that, there was a TV show called Beyond Westworld. And it lasted for 6 episodes. And I think they canceled it like 3 episodes in.
Oh, wow.
So it's not very good. But just as a curiosity, it exists. So certainly if you've been intrigued by the Westworld TV show, go hit up Zaki'sCorner.com and see what I had to say about the previous show.
Very nice. And then I didn't even realize this, but all the things I wanted to talk about are Western themed. The other thing that I watched that I thought was worth bringing up was I watched this short animated film called Borrowed Time. Have you heard of this?
Right. It's Pixar.
Yeah, I don't know if it technically is Pixar. And it is made by people who work.
It's by Pixar animators.
Pixar animators, right? And I don't know if it actually has their label on it. Gotcha. But did you watch it?
I haven't. I know of it.
Yeah. So apparently it's made by co-directors, and they worked on Inside Out and Brave. And in their spare time, it was their desire to make an animated short for adults, like to show that very adult themes and emotions and sort of a story, a very mature. I'm not talking about pornographic adult, but like a very mature, harsh sort of story could be told effectively using animation. And so I watched this thing. It's like 6.5 minutes long, and it looks. Right off the bat, it looks gorgeous, of course. But man, I was not prepared for this. Like this. Okay. This short is tough. It's like
Really?
it's like I almost don't want to say too much because it was nice going in not knowing anything about it. I will say this:
Okay.
it's excellent, and it's also tough. It is.
Wow. Okay.
They aimed for something really mature and adult and emotions. I think that are better suited for adults. And like, man, they nailed it. I mean, this thing is brilliant. So
Okay, well, I now you've got me suitably intrigued, so I'll have to, as soon as I get off the call with you, I'm going to get on and check it out.
Yeah, I'm struggling because I almost want to talk about it more, but I like I said, I don't want to rob the experience. So yeah, I'd say go ahead and Google Borrowed Time if that sounds interesting to you. And yeah.
Enjoy.
Yes.
Or not enjoy,
Yeah.
I guess. Enjoy the lack of enjoyment.
Grab a Kleenex, that's all.
Well, as tends to happen, your recommendations are good ones, and one thing I'm grateful for is that people do tend to take our recommendations at heart, which leads into some listener letters for this week. And these are some comments that were left for us on Facebook. This is from Tyler, who says, had to laugh at the Lethal Weapon discussion in our last episode. The bit about freaking out over Danny Glover's age at the time of the original Lethal Weapon was wonderful. Yet not for us it wasn't, Tyler. I can relate. Being in my early 40s myself, I've come to realize that a major part of aging for someone who loves consuming various forms of media is the horror of realizing which fictional characters you are now older than. The revelation that I am now older than Homer Simpson a few years back was borderline traumatic. That's true, man. You know, it's like you know, I remember for me, like, the part of growing up was like realizing that you're now older than the Bond girls.
Yeah, sure.
And then now we're older than Bond. Like, the next Bond will be younger than us, you know?
Yeah. I remember that with athletes a lot.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
you'd be like, yeah, these athletes that you looked up to, and now, you know, you see, you know, how young they are, and you're like, oh, holy crap. And then, yeah, also, I had the same realization about Homer Simpson because I started watching The Simpsons.
Was he 35?
I believe he started as 36. I think they've aged him up, but like, I was 10 when the show started, so I was Bart's age, literally. And then now, currently, I'm Homer's age, or his original age. So
He is now 39 per Google. I just Googled it.
okay.
So,
But yeah, he used to be, I think he began as 36.
okay. So he's aged 3 years for every, like, I don't know, what would the...
Oh.
He's aged 3 years
For
in
every,
the,
like 12
28
years? Is it in Simpson
Yeah,
years?
I don't know what the math is.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, that Chris Reeve was like 24 in the first Superman movie.
That's so crazy.
But in my mind, he will always be older than...
Ditto. Yeah. Isn't that a funny thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All this stuff, you know, and it's weird, and I don't know if it's like, it's, you know, you're talking about different actors playing different roles. It's like Chris Pine and William Shatner are now roughly the same age. Or Chris Pine is roughly the same age that Shatner was on the original Star Trek.
Oh, that's funny.
Right? But like, you look at Shatner, he just seems older.
Yeah, totally.
You know, even though on that show he's younger than we are now.
Yeah.
Weird.
It is weird.
Anyway, speaking of Lethal Weapon, this is another comment left from Mujtaba, who says, just watch Lethal Weapon on your recommendation. It is so much better than I expected. If that's the standard, then Son of Zorn really doesn't meet it. Yeah, he recommended. He said Son of Zorn got better, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that, even though I haven't seen it. I just want to be contrarian. He says, P.S. Thanks for pointing me at Lethal Weapon. So
Nice.
Glad you're digging that. And that's honestly, like, that's actually been very interesting because pretty much everyone I've seen online is like, it's not that bad. Like, that's the reaction.
Yeah. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah. So score 1 for lowered expectations, I guess. Lowered expectations helped me get married, I think, and you know, it's helped Lethal Weapon be a good show.
I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah. Well, because my wife had no expectations of me.
Oh, okay. Damn, I thought you were being really
I see what you're
cruel.
saying.
I was like, geez.
No, I'm saying she's a wonderful person, and she's far better than I deserve,
Got it.
is what I'm saying.
Got it. I should have known.
See, I'm trying to, like, give her a compliment. You screwed it up. See, I should point out here, folks, by the way, like, because a few weeks ago I announced on this show, I wanted to share with the audience that we are expecting another child, and my wife was like, "Why are you sharing it with the world?" And I'm like, because I have to. That's me and my audience. We have a sacred connection that you don't understand. And the point is, she wasn't speaking to me for a while. So this right here was my attempt to like win her back over. Be like, look at all the nice things I say about you.
Damn it.
You screwed it up, Paul. Anyway, my point is, I married up is what I'm saying.
Yes.
There we go. Moving on. So, this is kind of cool, Brian. I got to, I have to be honest. I get to do a lot of interviews. I get to meet a lot of interesting people, and I don't ever take it lightly. Mm-hmm. I always consider it an honor and a privilege. But people ask me, do you ever get starstruck? Mm-hmm. And in truth, I don't. Mm-hmm. I always think of it as it's just a gig, and and it's just a person, and I guess you do this stuff enough, and you don't really. I don't. Do you ever get starstruck? I mean, you get.
It depends.
Probably more. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes. I mean, it's. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, sometimes you go in and you're like, well, yeah, it's my job to talk to this person. And if they're very personable, it's very easy to just have a conversation. But then there are other people who maybe you have... Like, I saw Harrison Ford one time in person. Sure. And that was like... I mean, he's not a person to me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's like in a huge image on a movie screen, and he's
an icon.
He flies the Millennium Falcon, So it's people like that. Yeah, I absolutely stop in my tracks.
Well, it's funny that you say Harrison Ford, because I would say I had a similar experience this past week, because I got to interview Ewan McGregor.
That is pretty cool.
I got to be honest, it kind of is.
Yeah.
So the film I talked to him about is called American Pastoral, and it's his directing debut. Mm-hmm. And it's an adaptation of a novel by Philip Roth that stars... he stars in it. It also stars Dakota Fanning, Jennifer Connelly, David Strathairn is in it. That's actually a pretty good cast.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The film, it tackles some pretty, difficult family issues. It's essentially about a sort of a high school football star who sort of everyone thinks of as having the dream life, and then how his American dream kind of collapses around himself. Not necessarily a feel-good story,
right.
But regardless, like I said, this was his first directorial effort, and he had a lot to say, and he was very gregarious about it. So here is my conversation with Ewan McGregor about American Pastoral as part of a roundtable.
So your directing debut, you kind of dive into the deep end of the pool. That Philip Roth has been historically a very complicated process. What was it about American Pastoral that made you say this is your directing debut?
Philip Roth, I wasn't really intimidated by the idea of adapting his novel, because I'd been attached to the script for 3 or 4 years before I became the director. So I'd been living with this story, and I hadn't properly read his book yet, because I was waiting to read the novel once I knew when we were going to make the movie. As part of your preparation to play a role is if it's based on a book, is to sort of live in the book for a while. And I was just waiting to know when we were going to do it, because we didn't have a date, we didn't have a go date. So all this time I was attached to this story that I loved. And then when I realised the film might not happen, and I realised I wanted to direct it, and I suggested that I did, and then that was accepted. Then I started ploughing into Philip Roth's book, and I didn't do so with any form of sort of trepidation. I didn't know that his films in the past, I didn't know that it was considered that he was like the unadaptable author. I'd never heard that. I haven't really heard that until now. And so it was probably quite good that I didn't. But I didn't really find... I thought, if you're going to... The truth is, if you're going to base a movie on a book, it's better to base it on a really good one than a not a really good one. It's easier to make something good out of something good. Like Trainspotting, the novel, was an amazing adaptation because it's an amazing novel. And so that's always a good place to start from, I think.
What was your biggest challenge on the page and on set?
I suppose the biggest challenge was to make it feel was that responsibility to Roth, and to make it feel like it was his. Not only was it the story, which I suppose it would be easy to sort of extricate the story of American Pastoral and just knock that story out, but to make it resemble his thoughts and feelings is what was the hard thing was, I suppose. And then I felt very much that what Roth might be exploring about American politics and history was done through the lens of this family, and as an actor, the focus was on this father to try and, for me personally, to make the Swede feel real, and I empathised with him, and I felt like I had very much experience with the relationship that he has with his daughter. I've got 4 girls, and so I know very much what that father-daughter relationship feels like. And then my job as the director, over and above that, was to make it feel, to make the film also be about America and make it feel like the grander scheme of things that Roth is writing about in his novel, I suppose.
And when I speak to filmmakers, a lot of times I've heard them express to me that if they create something, they make a movie, and if they completely understand it when they're done making it, they're actually unsatisfied.
Oh.
They like it when there's some ambiguities there left for them to kind of think about. Here, with this movie, with the movie you've made, do you feel like you completely understand it? Are you satisfied with that?
I mean, I'd never tried to set out to make a film that was completely clear of my... I was never wanting to make a film that instructed the audience how to feel one way or another. I think too often our movies nowadays do that, where we're spoon-fed exactly what to feel about who, The baddies are the baddies, the goodies are the goodies, the music tells us what to feel, and I'm never ever interested in doing that, so I wanted a film full of his novels full of ambiguities and uncertainties, and I didn't try to answer them for the audience. I had to understand my version of what everything meant to me, but I wanted to present both. I think he presents lots of sides to arguments and themes that he's exploring in the novel, and I tried to do that with the characters. I tried never to side with anybody. I want to understand why Mary does what Mary does. I want to understand why Dawn does what she does at the end of the movie, that she's surviving something that it was never black and white for me. So I tried to do that with with Dr. Sheila's character in the movie. You might listen to her explanation of why Mary's living the way she does, and you might agree with it or you might not, But I wanted to present it in such a way that it made you think and made you discuss it afterwards, maybe,
Yes. How would you picture Mary now in 2016, just based off of how she was a rebellious teen in the movie, and given the current climate in this country and a lot of social injustices, how would you place her in contemporary times?
I don't know. It's very different nowadays. I mean, I think we have lots of the same issues that we're dealing with. I didn't really think about it in terms of... I didn't use the film as a vehicle to make comment on how I feel about the climate today, the political climate today. But I tried to focus on the time that Roth was writing about, which was, our film starts late 40s, it goes all the way to the 90s, but the main bulk of the story is sort of the 60s, I guess, into the early 70s. I don't know that we have such a powerful left-wing voice in the youth of today. I don't think so. Not quite so organised, anyway. At the time, with in some of the universities in America, Columbia, and where a lot of the SDS started from, and then the Weatherman Underground came from, I suppose, this educated left-wing young side of... I don't know if we have that to the degree, and luckily so. I mean, because ultimately they ended up in violent acts, which they went down the wrong road and started mirroring what the very thing they were fighting against, which was American violence in Vietnam. And so I don't know where Mary would be today. I'm not too sure, and it wasn't something that occupied my mind at the time, because I was very much placing my thoughts in the 60s.
So you, having been making films for as long as you have, having worked with so many amazing directors, I'm sure you've internalized a lot of the process. But what surprised you as a director? What was a challenge you maybe did not see coming? as a director?
Well, the responsibility of it is quite heavy overall, from start to finish, and over a very long time span. I think as an actor, generally speaking, we carry the sort of responsibility for our characters for a period of 4 months, or 4 or 5 months would be a very long movie. In the theatre, maybe sometimes longer. You can be in a run of a play for 6 months, but for this, it was 18 months of my life, and now so even longer, because I'm still responsible for it. So, but and maybe for the rest of my life. But you know, that I felt like when I became the director to the day I finished my last physical day on the movie, when we finished the sound mix in early May, I sort of like for 18 months I sort of carried the responsibility of the movie, and I woke up every morning going, so that would be the hard part of it. The sort of, I can't say the word stamina anymore without hearing Trump in my head, but the sort of the stamina of it all, you know, is the hard thing. The actual making of the movie is a wonderful creative collaboration with really talented people, and that was thrilling. I always knew that it would be. I knew, because I'm on set for 25 years. I know how it feels to be amongst all of the great talented people, but I didn't ever have the opportunity before to work with a costume designer, work with a makeup and hair designer, work with a production designer, the DP, to mould something to be the way I imagined it in my brain, you know, with all of their input, you know, to elevate that imagining to something greater and better. I found that side of it really thrilling.
Are you the kind of filmmaker that was hoping to find the film in the editing room, or did you have a clear vision once you started rolling on set?
No, I had a very clear vision of it. I think I had to have, because I was acting in it too.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave. I mean, that means I didn't. Our prep was done really, really well, and I didn't want any major decisions unless they occurred. You know, we lost a location or something, which with our control. But I wanted to make sure that we had everything covered before we got on set, other than how the scenes are played, because that I think you have to decide with the other actors. Now, that being said, I imagined all the scenes. I would say 95% of them I had physically imagined in my head, because I found all the locations. So I'd imagined the scenes in these rooms. So if we looked at this location and I thought it was right for the scene, that's because I'd partly imagined how the scene might play in here. So when I sat with my DP, Martin Rua, in the prep, we spent almost 10 days, like morning till night, drawing the location up on the whiteboard, and then I would say, okay, imagine I'm here and Dakota's here, and I would imagine the scenes out like that, and then we would discuss how we would best cover it. And we came up with, we never storyboarded because I don't like storyboards, but we shortlisted the whole movie. And that was based on my imagining of the scene. But I always said to everybody, this is just an idea. And when we get on set with the actors, you've got to understand that it might change. But what we had done, and it did often, you know, we would rehearse. Sometimes I'd always start with the actors by saying, this is how I imagined the scene to play. And we would try it, and sometimes it would just work and we would shoot it that way, and other times it was different. But generally speaking, and then sometimes the shots would change as well. But all it did is, when Martin and I, we imagined the film like like you would a whole piece of music, and there's a flow of the story, like a flow in the music. And when we decided to shoot each scene, we would those decisions were made thinking of the greater picture, the sort of flow, if you like. And then, is this scene going to shoot in one shot? Do we want coverage? Do we want lots of coverage so we can cut back and forth? Or do we want it to be slow? Do we want the camera to move? Do we want the camera not to move? And if it does, where and when and why? And all of these great questions were considered beforehand, so that even if the action did change in the actual blocking of the scene, we still had the mood we knew how we were trying to, the flavour of what the camera's doing, So I think in that respect, these things don't want to be left all up to be decided on the day, but at the same time you've got to allow yourself the freedom and the actors the freedom to explore and change things.
I'm happy to hear you say that, but there's so many filmmakers who don't do that.
No, I know. No, you'd be amazed how often you end up on set and someone says, this is where you are. You're standing here and she's standing over there, and my first question is always, how do you know? Oh. You know what I mean? Because if you haven't had any part in putting that together, it's like painting by numbers.
Yes.
And then you just feel like a puppet, really. You just feel like, what did Carrie Fisher refer to in Star Wars as being trick-talking meat?
So, talking of Star Wars, a few weeks ago, before I knew I was going to meet you, I was reading a storybook to my children, a Star Wars book, and there's a picture of you, and they said, "Oh, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Right.
There's a picture of Alec Guinness. That's old Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I thought, for us, you're young Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And I was wondering. I mean, it's been a generation of children for whom you are what Alec Guinness was.
Yes.
Do you ever process that? I mean,
No, it's odd. It's funny because when the Star Wars films came out, the ones that I was in, the children who were watching them, the generation who they were made for, weren't the people who were being vocal about them because they're kids. So what I heard was the adults who were disappointed by not feeling like children again, like they were in the 70s. That became the sort of the general impression you got, was that people were, with the first one, disappointed by it because it didn't make them feel like the first one. And then nowadays, now that it's been 13 or 15, when did the first one come out?
99.
99.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 16 years, 17 years almost.
18. Oh, no, 17.
17 years, yeah. So now I'm hearing from that generation of children who watch them, and they're like, oh no, we love them, So now I'm getting the feedback from the people they were actually made for, and now I get the sense like, oh yeah, we nailed it. So that's nice.
Yeah,
It's amazing. The impact of Star Wars is an extraordinary thing. It's sort of baffling at the same time as being wonderful. It's just its far reach into culture and society is enormous. I don't begin to understand how he managed to pull that off, George, but he did.
Well, I think I speak for everyone here in saying we really hope you get to come back.
Yeah, me too. I hope so too. I mean, I'd love to do it. I've said that, and to the point now where people think I'm sort of pitching for work. But I would be very happy. There's no plans for it at the moment, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Now, obviously, I had to get in my Star Wars question.
And you did it well.
Well, and it's funny, right? Because a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here. I stressed about that for literally days.
Right.
Because it's like, especially because I knew it was going to be a round table, and I knew it was going to be like me and two other people. And so because of that, you don't control the flow of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Right, and so you're on the clock, and it's almost like musical chairs a little bit,
right?
Because when your time is up, your time is up. Like, what are you going to do, right? But the other thing was like, I want to ask a Star Wars question, but it's like, is he sick of talking about Star Wars?
Right.
So it's like I did not want to do the. Hey, so are you going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi again? Because that's like,
Yeah.
We all know that, and but I had to stop myself from being like, so like when you fought Darth Maul, was that awesome? So I literally it clicked in the shower because the story that I told him about. I mean, that's a real thing that happened, and that's like, that's it, that's my in.
Yeah.
But it's actually really funny because we were in a round table, and it was like, just as a courtesy, everybody kind of asks their question in turn, and it was like me and there's three other people there, and the publicist comes in and she kind of gives a signal like we have 3 minutes left, and I had like just asked my question. Mm-hmm. So it's like the guy after me asked his, and then his answer to that kind of segued into the Star Wars thing, and so I'm like 3 minutes left. I have my question. I know what I'm going to ask, and I'm like, I'm going to jump in. And I'm going to apologize after.
It's funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the person I cut off, he's a friend of mine. His name is Bernard Boo, who he's a terrific film critic too. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, you know what? It's pool audio. Everyone gets to use this content. So I'm like, if I can get a good question out of it, everybody gets to use it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that like worked out. I don't normally do that, but I was like this. I need to ask this question, so it worked out. And he was so excited. I think he was more engaged with that than like talking about the movie.
Oh yeah, no, he sounded really game and excitable about that stuff, which is really endearing, isn't it? Like, I mean, that's what you would hope for.
That's I was what I really appreciate is that I have no idea if he was ever down on those films, but I love that he's at a point now where he's not.
Yeah, I like that too. That's really cool. That he's certainly not gonna badmouth it, or even just sort of like, well, yeah, it was the thing we did, and but that he actually is like, yeah, the people grew up and they enjoyed it now, and it's really cool to talk to them about it and see that we didn't screw up. And I was like, wow. I mean, he doesn't have to talk like that. That's admirable,
well,
I think.
And to a broader point, I mean, that gets to, a conversation I have about the prequels all the time where, you have people who are like, I'm never going to show them to my kids or whatever, that reflexive need that people have, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of like, let them watch it and let them enjoy it. Like, who are we to, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that's one thing. Like, I don't ever badmouth those prequels around my kids.
Right.
I don't ever say Jar Jar this or the, because I'm like, let them have that experience and let them have it be unique to them.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was cool. I'm glad I got to tell him that. And oh my gosh, dude, so we were like a couple days later, we were watching The Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just had it on my mind because I'd been talking to him. And so the boys are watching it with me. And I'm like, oh, hey, guys, check this out. And I show them. I got a picture. I got a selfie with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, who's that? I'm like, you don't know who that is? Really? And they're like, And it's like I'm holding my phone up and I kind of like gesture toward the TV.
Yeah.
And it's like a shot. Like it's almost like his angle on the screen is like an exact mirror of the ink. And my 7-year-old, you should have seen his, like he has his narrow eyes and concentration trying to figure out, and the way they just went wide.
Wow.
As the realization, you met Obi-Wan Kenobi,
So I can't even imagine what a 7-year-old brain would be thinking. What that means to him.
I know and the cool thing is that I mean, obviously I get cool points as a dad, but for them it's like I just love the fact that that's probably something they'll tell their friends and they'll be like, yeah, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like my dad met Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. That's funny.
So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. So American Pastoral is in limited release starting this Friday, and I mean, I would assume it's going to be more of a, it's going to trickle out. I would expect.
Mm-hmm.
But look for that soon. Hey, you want to switch things up a little bit? Let's do Star Wars news first.
Sure.
Since we just talked about Star Wars.
Kicking in the theme there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we have a new trailer for Rogue One.
That's funny. I was about to be like, absolutely nothing has happened in Star Wars recently.
Well, okay, we should coordinate our routine.
Yeah,
This is what I get for missing rehearsal.
Exactly. Yeah, final trailer drop, so I guess...
So this is it. We're done now.
Yeah, this is all we're going to get.
Okay, well, do we want to play some of the audio?
Let's do it.
Our rebellion is all that remains to push back the Empire.
We think you might be able to help us.
When was the last time you were in contact with your father?
What is this?
It appears he is critical to the development of a super weapon.
If my father built this thing, we need to find him.
All right. How many do I need?
They are requesting a call sign.
It's, Rogue One.
Okay, so before you tell us your thoughts, this is what I'm going to say about this. My ticket's already sold. I'm on board, but I was not blown away by this trailer.
I have heard that very thing from, I think, everybody I've talked to.
Okay.
And not that they were underwhelmed, but I think, to paraphrase for all of them, they're not getting the Star Wars tingles.
Sure.
And I personally understand that, and I don't know that I'm feeling the same way about this that I was when I was seeing all the build-up and trailers to The Force Awakens.
Yes.
But I think...
Which was maybe kind of a once-in-a-lifetime...
Very, very true, right?
Experience.
And we were getting the Millennium Falcon in those trailers. We were getting Han Solo, who we hadn't seen in 30-some years. It was a very, very different sort of thing. And so I understand where that sort of tingliness might be sort of absent. But at the same time, I really am digging the Star Wars iconography through a new sort of lens. Right,
okay.
Right. Like my brother said that one of the shots that stood out to him was like, these two people in a prison cell, and it looked like a not like a fantastical movie. It looked like two people in a real life prison cell, but then stormtroopers walk past them.
Right.
You know, and that's what this movie feels like it's going to be, and that I'm into that. So it'll be different, but I'm excited to see a different sort of approach to the Star Wars universe. I think we've probably covered this before, but this trailer is just selling more of the same of that feel, I find. And you're saying that did you like it? You're saying it didn't blow your hair back, but did you like it?
It looked totally fine. It doesn't need to sell me. Like, I'm already sold.
Yes. Sure.
So, I think that here's what I think. Here's what I feel. These side movies, the inherent problem they have is that they have to exist in kind of a narrative stasis.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because in terms of big picture, in terms of the saga, they don't really have any impact.
Right.
And that goes for this.
There's supplements
that goes for
to the main story rather than...
They're supplements, which is totally fine, but it feels a little bit like the novels or something.
Never thought of it that way.
Right, because the novels have the same issue.
Yeah.
Right, the side novels. Now, again, that's not to say it's not going to be interesting or intriguing, and that's not to say it won't be good. That's not the point I'm making. But I think it's almost impossible to have that same level of anticipation, right? Because our anticipation for episode 7 is, oh man, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And we can't have that with these side movies,
right?
Because they're inherently, again, and this sounds more negative than I mean it, but they inherently don't truly matter.
Mm-hmm. Because we already know what's going to happen with the Death Star. And it doesn't involve these people.
It doesn't involve these people. And that goes for any of this stuff, right? It goes for the Han Solo movie. It goes for even the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, which we all want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the difference is, like, here's the difference, for example, with an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, hypothetically, is that we want to spend more time with Ewan McGregor as that character.
Mm-hmm.
That's the appeal there.
Right.
The Han Solo movie, in theory, we get to spend more time with Han Solo, which after the last movie, we thought we'd never get to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an open question whether what's his name will be able to assume that role.
Right.
But if he does, then it's like, oh, we get more adventures of Han Solo. That's awesome. But what do we have here? The appeal, when you really think about it, is, wow, we get to see Darth Vader again.
Yes.
Right?
Which is funny because I wondered, this being the last trailer, how much we would get of him, and it was...
We got the exact right amount.
Precious little. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded... It's pretty short. I wouldn't have minded, and I didn't want them to blow their load or anything, but it would have been nice to, I don't know, something. I would have liked a little bit more, I'll be honest.
Sure.
But that's just because I want to see that. But then maybe that's the best way to do it, because then it won't be too much when I see the movie. I'll get to enjoy it all there.
You figure, the way I look at it, if it's a very limited amount that he appears in the new movie, it'll still be more than what's in this trailer.
So maybe they're setting expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my feeling about Rogue One.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, this will be really interesting because, I mean, we've talked about this, but it's easy to forget. I mean, last December, now that, Star Wars is on like Epix or Stars or something like that on cable, and it's like, oh, like this thing that was like this crazy secret that the whole world was wondering about is now just shown 12 times a day, on cable.
Yeah, and now they're going to be releasing the Blu-ray 3D release with the double dip, the inevitable double dip, which makes me very glad, by the way, that I didn't buy the physical disc when it first came out.
Right.
I showed foresight, but they released a clip. I don't know if you saw this, of J.J. Abrams' commentary track.
Yes, I did.
Over in the moments leading up to Han Solo's death.
Yeah,
and first of all, just that snippet alone makes me want to buy the disc just to hear Because they cut it like just before Han Solo dies.
Yeah, it kind of pissed me off. I'll be honest. I am a sucker still for commentaries. I like putting them on when I'm doing things in the background sometimes. And there's nothing like a good commentary, honestly. When a filmmaker really kind of gives you insight into their storytelling process and decisions. I mean, it's like a little film school, about something that you are specifically interested in. And so hearing that the Double Dip was going to include a commentary from J.J. Abrams, I was like, you dicks.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, again, I showed foresight, so
yep.
Haha. But yeah, my point is anyway that what he was saying sounded really intriguing, and I'm like, oh man, I want to hear what else he has to say.
I mean, especially with this one. I mean, this was such a crazy re-entry into something where it was like, is this going to work or isn't this going to work? I mean, so many decisions had to be made that I'm sure were excruciating and painstaking, and so many details I'm sure that were like labored over. Not like they're not going to do that with the other ones, but like you said, this was like the once in a lifetime thing, where this thing that you loved was coming back in a big way, and it would be interesting to hear him talk about it, while watching it with him.
By the way, speaking of The Force Awakens, do you feel like the worm is turned a little bit, where like the conversation about it is much more negative now than it was like a year ago?
You know what?
Or not a year, but like after its release.
I feel like I just read something about that today, so it's funny you actually say that.
Wow. Because I don't feel negative about it. I still really enjoy it, but it's weird how suddenly, all of a sudden, people are like, yeah, it's got to be better than that piece of shit, The Force Awakens. And I'm like, really? Like,
well,
when did this happen?
See, I never was one of those people, though. I remember when it came out and everyone was like, all right, now it's Empire, Force Awakens, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no. Like,
yeah, I think you and I were on the same page with it.
Yeah. I
mean, I remember distinctly my initial reaction was I enjoyed it, but I can't really form a full judgment until we see what happens next.
I think that's the best way to think about it currently. But I still like it fine. That's interesting. I mean, I guess that's inevitable, right? That's what happens.
You either die the hero or you live long enough to be the villain.
Yeah.
That's where J.J. Abrams is.
Yeah.
It's really and this, we said this at the time. Like it's the most thankless job on earth, having to direct the movie, and he did a good job with it.
I think so.
It's weird. It's weird that suddenly he's like the subject of so much ire.
It's interesting too because you look at some of his older films. I watched Mission Impossible 3. Well, I guess wasn't that recent, but anyway, it's like he definitely
10 years ago.
Well, I mean, just even I watched it not too long ago. Again, and it's like JJ definitely has a style.
Yes,
and it changes a little bit from film to film, but the thing that's consistent is kind of this really, the camera keeps moving, not annoying quick cuts, but he is a quick cutter, and of course the lens flares and the whatnot, and he's got like a semi-classical that is like definitely been retooled into a modern sort of style, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's really noticeable how he serviced Star Wars specifically with The Force Awakens. Like he put his style aside, even though it's in there to a degree. But like, I mean, he set out to make a Star Wars film, and I think it's really commendable what he pulled off in that respect.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's funny, just total tangent, but like the other day I was driving into the city and they had these ads up. I don't know if they have them, these billboards up. I don't know if they have them up by you, but it's for some kind of like identity theft thing or whatever. And it had like if you see it from a distance, it looks like Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Intentionally?
Well, that's what it's meant to look like. But when you get closer, it's like clearly not him, but it's a guy who's dressed up to look like that, who's obviously not looking, and the caption is like, frauds aren't usually this easy to spot.
Huh.
And it's like some kind of identity theft thing. I don't remember what it's for exactly, but it's humorous to me because there's a couple. I've seen a few of these, and it's the same thing. It's this kind of goofy looking guy who's dressed up like Mark Hamill in Episode 4, and he's the guy he's the guy who's very obviously not Luke Skywalker.
I see.
And I was just thinking, like, I wonder if he knew that when he posed for those pictures.
Right.
Like, he's meant to be the guy who there's no way anybody would mistake him for Luke Skywalker, you know?
Right. That's funny.
Like, if you knew that guy, I felt kind of bad for the guy. I was like, I wonder what his story is, you know?
I'll have to look those up.
Yeah, see if you can find him, yeah. But any other Star Wars news of note?
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. Usually we stick to pretty cinematic related things with Star Wars, but we don't get into the books and the whatnot. But I thought this was kind of interesting. I saw that there is going to be a new Star Wars novel called Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, who is a Star Wars character that I'm as familiar with as you are.
I'm very familiar with Ahsoka.
I'm not, because I think, and I'm not putting it down. I am assuming Clone Wars related.
So Ahsoka, yeah. So a little bit of background here. Ahsoka Tano is Anakin Skywalker's Padawan.
Okay.
Right. So in during the course of the Clone Wars series, you see her go from being this callow kid who like fresh out of the academy or whatever, Jedi, whatever. I don't know what you are before you're a Padawan, but she gets assigned to him in the middle, and so she's kind of the vehicle by which Anakin becomes more sober-minded and more thoughtful. And the cool thing is that they actually have brought her back on Rebels, the animated series, which is set obviously during the Rebellion, and I haven't seen this yet, but there's been. Like, she realizes who Anakin is, like who Darth Vader is, and that's her
that's kind of cool.
Master. Yeah, so she's actually a fantastic character.
I've heard those shows are great. I haven't strayed too far from the films.
Well, you as a fan of all people, you should absolutely, I think, and I've told you this before, you got to give the Clone Wars series a look. You for sure should watch Rebels, but definitely Clone Wars, you got a solid beginning, middle, end, and I think you'll really enjoy it.
Okay. Well, I definitely will. But anyway, she's got her own sort of spin-off novel here. And just an interesting thing of note that I read somewhere was that they explain, you have the lightsabers and you have the different colors, and it seems the villains always have a red lightsaber. And it explains actually why that is. And this is going into full nerd level. So for people who are not going to be able to hang with this, just stick it out for about 45 seconds here. But I actually thought this was kind of cool. I figured I'd share it. So anyway, lightsaber. Oh my gosh, this is like full dorkdom here.
You need to make your voice more high pitched.
Yeah. So lightsabers are powered by kyber crystals. This is true, ish. In a fictional.
Good Lord.
No, but anyway, lightsabers are powered by these things called kyber crystals, and it turns out this book explains that they are force sensitive. So anyway, the kyber crystal is what determines what color the lightsaber is, right? So it turns out that when they are force sensitive, and anyone from the dark side of the force doesn't have the same connection with these crystals, and it turns their color to red. So it sort of dilutes or bleeds the color from whatever it was supposed to be into red. So that's the dark side taking over the crystal inside of a lightsaber, and that is why villains have red lightsabers.
I gotta be honest, I hung in there as long as I could, but I started looking at like the texture of stucco on my wall.
Really? I actually thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. I got something about the crystals and. There.
Well, whoever's still with me out there, air high five.
This reminds me of, like, my very first semester as a teacher, like 11 years ago. For an informative speech, I had a student be like, "Oh, I want to do a speech about the history of Star Wars."
Uh-huh.
I was like, "Yeah, sure, sounds good." And I'm thinking in my head, it's like the history, like the making of Star Wars. But no. They wanted to do the history of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So they start out delivering the speech, and they're like, millions of years ago, Jedi Master Zen Bubu made the... And I'm like, oh my God,
See, it's funny because I think that's why I haven't been able to get into the books in the past. Because I felt like they were sort of etching in things that I wasn't familiar with, so I didn't really care about.
Yeah.
There was something
I'm with you.
I thought was cool about this where it was like darkness, poisons a thing and whatever. I was like, oh, that's kind of
that's cool. I agree.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, I will not be reading the novel, but I will go to Wikipedia to read up about Ahsoka's
adventure,
the
Cliff Notes.
I am curious. Yeah, I mean, Wikipedia is friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about all this crap.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Thank you for indulging me.
Yeah, that's what this show is here for, right? All right, real quick, let's talk about some headlines, and then we'll move on to our spoiler portion. So we were talking about The Simpsons earlier. 600 episodes, Brian.
I know. That was this past Sunday, right?
Yeah.
The 16th, October 16th. I didn't even know that.
It was the Halloween special.
Was it a Treehouse of Horrors, or?
It was a Treehouse of Horror.
Okay.
That was also the 600th episode of the series.
Wow.
Now, it's funny, because this is a recurring theme on this show, is our sort of, like, love-hate relationship with The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, here's what I'm going to say about The Simpsons. I may not watch it regularly anymore, but I don't hate it when I do.
Yeah.
I'll pop in occasionally and be like, it's good to see them still around.
I know you indulge in them a little bit these days. My brother actually has started doing that every now and then too, and it's like, if you tune in, I don't think you're gonna hate it. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But like, what I'm saying is, I don't watch it at all anymore. But if they were to leave the air, I would feel like something was missing. Yeah,
and that's kind of, I mean, I think Al Jean, who's the executive producer, who has been for a while, he said that it's probably going to be 30 and out.
Oh, wow, to even put that out there, huh?
Yeah, and this was a year ago. I mean, maybe he's walked that back. I mean, but I mean, it seems like if you're going to go, that's probably a good round number to go at,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not a record that's in danger of being broken anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what the longest running, episodic series of all time is, but
I mean, 600 and you're not even finished.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, right?
I thought it was like Bonanza or something was one of the ones that they were chasing for a while.
Well, let me find out. And I mean, I think if my point with all of this is, regardless of what we perceive as the relative quality or lack of, let's pause to appreciate the achievement.
Oh, for sure.
And that's an achievement that can never be taken away from you.
Yeah.
And by the way, Gunsmoke, 635 episodes.
Whoa.
I believe, if I'm fairly certain that's the record.
What's funny though is the Simpsons universe allows for so many varied things to happen. But how in the world did Gunsmoke come up with 635 stories?
Well, because there were less options.
That is true. That is true. But I mean, how many? You know what I'm saying? Like Homer's been to space. Like he's done. They do so many crazy things. And
you didn't see the episode where Marshal Matt Dillon goes into space?
Right.
James Arness, by the way, the star of Gunsmoke, he was also the Thing in the original The Thing. Did you know that?
No.
Well, now you know.
If you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. That's my payback for the Kyber crystal digression. Okay, so regardless, The Simpsons is keeping on, but network TV is not the only place where content is proliferating. This is interesting. YouTube now is entering the original programming game.
Right? This is crazy.
So it's called YouTube Red.
Mm-hmm. Which I guess currently already exists, right? I don't...
It does, but it's here's the thing, right? I'm of several minds on this. I think as somebody who is interested in seek out new content, and certainly, as are you, I'm assuming, would look forward to the opportunity to get my own content out there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's great to have all these different venues, but aren't you slicing the onion pretty thin by the time you're getting to like YouTube originals?
I agree. in my attitude.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, who's to say, right? I mean, it's not like they're just willy-nilly coming up with these shows. I mean, they're going to do shows with Dwayne Johnson.
Based on some of the examples we're about to cite, feels kind of willy-nilly.
Yes, I don't disagree with that, but I mean, it's not like these are like YouTube personalities that they're giving shows to.
Sure, so it's not like Chris Crocker, the series.
Right. I don't even know what that is.
You know Chris Crocker?
No.
Remember?
I thought that was like an American Idol guy.
No, Chris Crocker was Leave Britney Alone.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, you see his face. Yeah,
it's a deep cut, I guess.
But exactly that. I mean, it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is like Doug Liman.
Well, but what is Doug Liman doing?
I'm just saying.
He's doing a thing that nobody on Earth has been clamoring for.
Which is, he's making a series based on the movie Jumper, which he directed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, if it was a show about people wearing different jumpers every week, there would be more of an audience.
Well, see,
than this.
That's another thing. I mean, that movie, it was sort of a special effects film,
and it
right?
was a piece of crap.
Yes, but my point is it's there's a lot of locations and a lot of special effects and action going on. So Netflix shows are sort of crazy in their scope, and it's almost like their budget seems unlimited. But like, what are the budgets of these YouTube shows gonna be like? Like, I feel like I remember Amazon had a couple pilots, because their whole thing is they test pilots. Like, you can go on there and I guess they decide what's going to go to series based on, I don't know if it's votes or viewers, or I don't know. I've never taken part in that.
I think it's views.
But I remember watching a couple. I'm sure they've gotten better, but I remember watching a couple back in the day, and I was like, "Yikes!"
Did you see they did a Zombieland pilot?
That's the specific one I'm thinking of.
Oh my god, it was just dog shit. It was awful.
It was like a fan film.
It was, exactly. Yeah.
So it's just, I'm wondering what the production value on a YouTube series is.
Well, but the Amazon stuff has improved.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they've got the Transparent show, which I haven't seen, but I've heard really good things about.
Did you see Jean-Claude Van Johnson?
No, you recommended it to me, and I still haven't seen it.
Oh my god, I loved it.
I was too busy. I was reading about kyber crystals, and I just got lost down this.
You went down the rabbit hole. So first of all, Jumper. This thing came out when, like 2007
I want to
or
say
something?
7. I may have worked at the company that made it at the time.
Well, I mean, the fact that they weren't able to get a franchise out of this thing that basically is built around the magnetic charisma of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Like, and no disrespect to Hayden Christensen. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's not his fault. I mean, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
He was the wrong guy to build a franchise around. I mean, I don't think that's a controversial statement.
You know, and this is post Revenge of the Sith, so people's minds had already been made up about this guy. Right?
Yeah, but I think the thinking was, he was in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But it's like, but he wasn't a draw in Star Wars.
Who knows?
I feel bad for Hayden Christensen, right? Because it's like, because before Star Wars, he was kind of on the rise, as a promising up and comer, and then friggin', George Lucas took a 2x4 to his career, basically.
Well, he was in that movie Life is a House. You remember that?
Right, which he got a lot of acclaim for.
Yeah, it was really good, and he was in Shattered Glass.
Shattered Glass, really, right? Yeah.
Life is a House.
And it's funny.
That was a corny movie, but a really nice, pretty decently made corny movie. I like that movie.
My Life is a House?
Yeah, Life is a House. Actually, corny's not the right word. Sappy.
Sorry.
It's very sappy, but it's also it's enjoyable.
And he was on some TV show that he was, I think a Canadian show. It's not his fault. Anyway, this is my point, right? I mean, it's just at the planning stages, how is nobody like, maybe this isn't the guy,
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
It's weird. I'm always fascinated by the calculus of who is deemed worthy of carrying like a big budget film.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know what's like Hayden Christensen in Jumper. That's a good example. Like, why was he deemed the guy? Or you know what? Another good example actually is like Jack Houston in Ben-Hur. right? Like I'm not doubting Jack Houston is a talented actor. He is. But, like, why him? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you think he's the guy to anchor this $100+ million movie?
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point is, they're doing a Jumper sequel minus Hayden Christensen.
Right. Series, though, not a movie.
Yes, it's a sequel series.
That you will have to pay $10 a month to subscribe to YouTube Red. Why else would you subscribe to this?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, everything is available, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I mean, what's behind the curtain that I have to, or the red rope that I have to pay for, that makes it worth $10 a month in addition to my Netflix, in addition to my Amazon, in addition to my this, that, whatever, Hulu.
It's you don't see ads.
Sure.
No, I mean that's the big selling point for YouTube Red.
So currently without these shows, it's like you just get to watch all of your normal YouTube videos without commercials for $10 a month.
So what YouTube Red allows for is okay. It's $10 a month, like you said. You can view videos offline.
Okay.
You can have videos playing in the background while you're doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ad free.
Well, now hold on. Are there no ads for a short called Sucker Punch and Leroy that's available on YouTube if you Google that?
Well, that's not an ad; it's a video, right?
Yeah. So I'm saying you could watch Sucker Punch and Leroy if you were to go on YouTube and put in Sucker Punch and Leroy. There'd be no ads if you wanted to watch that.
I suppose, but people who are listening will just have to search for that and find it for themselves.
Search for what?
Sucker Punch and Leroy.
Oh, okay.
That's Sucker Punch and Leroy. This is the worst product placement.
You got to work with me, man.
I'm trying. It's late.
Yeah. No, that's a short that Zaki and I participated in several years ago that you can find on YouTube if you input Sucker Punch and Leroy.
Sucker Punch and Leroy. That's Sucker Punch and Leroy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, YouTube Red. So there we go.
Yeah.
Very quickly, before we move on to the spoiler portion of the show, they dropped the first trailer for the Power Rangers movie.
See.
I wanted to discuss this with you. Did you have a chance to see it?
I did.
All right, well, let's play some of the audio first.
You know something happened up there, okay? I'm not the same.
I'm strong.
How strong?
Insanely strong. No.
I feel like we need to go back up there.
I'm gonna jump across with her, and then you jump.
Piece of cake.
Let's go.
No, don't jump. Jason! That's not a piece of cake!
All right, so this is really interesting because I just feel so completely disconnected from this that it's been very interesting to see people in my social media feed who are clearly younger than me who are just, I mean, through the roof.
I'm going to laugh if this is your favorite movie next year.
Well, but this is my point. I mean, I'm not judging. I'm truly not. I'm not. I'm not like, oh, this looks like shit. I'm just like, it looks like whatever, right? I don't really have. I don't have an opinion on it because I'm not, invested in it.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I watched it again. I saw it when it first came out, which was like maybe a week or two ago, and then I rewatched it before we were recording right now. And the first time I watched it, and forgive me, but I actually thought it was a fan movie.
Sure.
And because I didn't recognize any of the actors, some of the lighting looked kind of bad. And I thought this was someone trying to jump the gun before the actual trailer came out and sort of like make like we made our version of it. And then a couple visual effects or action things happened that I was like, oh, they couldn't afford that. And then I realized I was like, oh no, this is actually the thing. And I don't know why I had that impression the first time. I rewatched it again, like I said, and I didn't feel that as much this time. But I think that was just it. Like there was something about it that felt. I don't see it. I don't see it personally.
I think part of it, Brian, is that it's just we're not even remotely the audience for this.
I think so. Yeah, that I don't know.
Like, I'm seeing how excited people are, and I'm not sitting here like, oh, what's wrong with you? I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad that, you've got this thing that you're excited about.
I totally agree, and I hope it's good, and I hope everyone who's looking forward to it loves it. But it's just funny. Yeah. It's like you said, like it doesn't happen often that we're outside of the phenomenon that's happening. Like, usually it's something that we like or that we are familiar with. And I remember with the Twilight movies, like that. Yes. I mean, that was a phenomenon, and I remember it was interesting being on the outside of that. Like, I could care less, but then that trailer on YouTube would get like millions and millions and millions of views, and I'm like, wow, it's something I don't even think about, but this means a lot to a crap load of people. And so I'm getting a similar sort of vibe from this, where I just don't get it, and I'm not plugged into it, and it's not doing anything for me, but I realize that it does mean something to a lot of people, and they seem to be really excited about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So all you power heads or whatever they're called, I don't know. So, I mean, to me, it's like, I mean, that show like lasted forever, right? I mean,
there's probably an iteration of it running right now, for all we know.
Probably, and it's, I mean, again, I remember Roger Ebert writing a review of the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, and he was talking about, like, how do you tell them apart? They're all, and I remember reading that, being like, well, come on, man, it's like he's blue and he's red, but that's how I feel about Power Rangers.
Right.
I'm like, they're all generic. I don't know what's the difference between them,
Yeah. Well,
some of them have boobs. Some of them have like plastic molded boobs. Okay, those are the girls.
Right.
That's the difference.
Well, we'll find out next year.
There we go. I will say this. I wish the trailer would have given us some Cranston.
Right.
Bryan Cranston is Zordon.
Well, and they teased Elizabeth Banks.
That's right.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe this is something your oldest is going to be into.
Man, I'm not even going to say,
He's kind of the perfect age, right?
Well, he's 9. My 7-year-old too, probably, But I mean, I'm like, you know what? I remember when the original Power Rangers first started, my mom used to babysit these kids, and they were, like 5-ish or whatever. And they'd be playing Power Rangers all the time, and they'd be like, "Yaw!" They'd be doing that all the time. And it drove me up the wall.
So, okay, this is all starting to make sense now. This is like something.
I think so. I think I've had a breakthrough as I'm talking to you.
Right.
This is like the end of Good Will Hunting.
Right. It's not your fault.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's all coming out.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I'm not in a hurry to expose them to Power Rangers. I mean, I have a feeling they will be exposed to it anyway.
Sure. School.
Just deal with that when it happens. Yeah, I think I said this before. One of my clearest memories is I was walking to school one day, and walking back home from school rather, and there were these two kids playing. They were playing Power Rangers, and one of them says, "White Power Ranger," and just the way he said that, I was like, "Did they know that was going to happen?"
Right.
Anyway,
that's funny.
So, hey, we have a spoiler conversation, Brian.
I know. I finally got to see something.
I told you, so you had not seen this, and I told you we are not recording until you watch this, because you're not leaving me out there in the wilderness holding my dick.
It's true.
And so we did this.
Yeah. So I went and I saw Girl on a Train.
God damn it.
No, I saw The Accountant.
The Accountant. Okay, so let's talk about The Accountant, but let's first do our spoiler.
Oh, we jumping right into this? All right.
Well, yeah, I guess we... See, it's been so long, I've forgotten the protocol.
Yeah, let's give general impressions. And then...
Okay, so...
Yeah.
So directed by Gavin O'Connor. Mm-hmm. He did Warrior, which I loved.
Yep.
So I was really looking forward to this. And if I'm being honest, I left the theater disappointed. As far as what the film is about, it's Ben Affleck as a... I mean, you know what this is? It's Good Will Hunting meets Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, meets another film. I guess maybe I'll bring up past spoilers.
Okay. Yeah, and he's so Ben Affleck plays this as the title implies, an accountant with sort of high-functioning autism. So he sort of moonlights as a super-powered assassin, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's right. It's that's it.
When the trailer for this first came out, it was this kind of cool, I think we talked about this, where it was like that stylish thing where there's like a windshield wiper blade from the opening scene, but then that noise carries throughout, and there's him tapping his fingers because he has a few ticks that he does, and it seemed like this really sort of tense, taut kind of story, and then you see him shooting like high-powered weapons, but he's also like figuring out how people are cooking the books, and I was like, man, and Ben Affleck, he's been directing these really great movies. He's like Oscar nominated now these days, and for his filmmaking. And I was like, man, this looks like, it reminded me of movies from the 90s, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then last night I forced myself to figure out what it was because I wanted to articulate it. And you know what it was? Movies in the 90s had mature plots. Like they were The Firm. And there were movies like that where it was like they were about...
We've forgotten because that's like a bygone era now.
Yeah, like they don't make movies about lawyers that uncover things and then have to run from bad guys and whatnot. Like, it has to be like some sort of, crazy sort of superhero element to it, which is fun in its own way, but it's nice to see a movie about adults dealing with adult things sometimes, in like for a thriller or a comedy or whatever. So I was excited to see like a kind of interesting adult thriller about this guy, and I'm kind of with you. I'm with you on it. When it started out, I was pretty into it. I would say about 40 minutes in, I was like, I'm into this, but where's this going? Yeah. And there's definitely a moment in the middle where I was like, I think I'm bored.
Yep.
And then it turns into something completely different.
Yeah.
And I was like, all of this is sort of interesting ideas that they decided not to try to make sense together. They just kind of went for it. And it's funny because I can see something I learned working at a production company and reading so many scripts is you just know when you're reading a good script. Like, it. And when this movie started, like the first, say, like 20 minutes or so, I was like, I know what this felt like when they read this. I know it's so well thought out, and it teases a lot of interesting ideas, and this character is super compelling, and he doesn't talk a lot, so you're really interested whenever he is going to speak. But then all these ideas just start like getting tossed at you, and there's a lot of characters and a lot of things going on, and then it just sort of turns into, it gets a little silly. Right? And the first half I didn't feel like was silly.
No.
And so that's when I walked out like, man, I really wanted to like this, but it was just kind of like so that's what that was.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Spoilers.
Okay. So one of my reactions while I was watching this was, I wonder if, and I'm sure this applies to you too, by the way, is that we watch too many movies. I mean, we've talked about this before, how when you watch as many movies as we do, it affects how we react to movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, in other words, we're picking up on stuff that maybe other people aren't.
Interesting. What are you specifically?
Well, so the movie starts, right, and we get like the flashback. It starts in the past, I think, right? I can't remember. We get like,
it feels right. Yeah, Where with him as a boy, and his parents are seeing a specialist about how.
That's right. Yeah, they're seeing the specialist, and then the mom leaves, if you remember, and the brother like flips her off, and I remember.
Yeah.
So and then we see Affleck, and he's like the accountant, and he's an actual accountant, but we see he's not a bad guy because he really helps this couple kind of, use tax code to their advantage, right? And then very shortly within 10 minutes, we're introduced to John Bernthal.
Yes.
And I'm not even kidding. Like, the minute John Bernthal shows up, I'm like, he's going to be the brother.
You know what's funny? I'm going to sound like an idiot, but I didn't put together only because that little boy that played the brother was like the whitest of white, kids. And like just has this real, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but just plain sort of white kid face.
Sure.
Bernthal's got this really interesting sort of like craggled face, like tough guy, guy who's probably a boxer kind of a thing. So I didn't put it together.
See, it's the reason, and maybe it's just because I'm weird, but I made that connection because when the mom leaves, the brother flips her off.
Yes,
and I thought that was a very specific bit of business,
right? Attitude because for that boy.
Exactly, we're meant to think something about him. And then we're introduced to Bernthal, and I kind of made the connection where I was like, oh, I'll bet you that's what it.
Funny.
But it's weird because so from that moment on, I'm sort of functioning under that assumption, and so every piece of information we get after that either confirms or so each piece then becomes more confirming that, right? So by the end of the movie, and by the way, the other thing is, the minute we saw John Lithgow's picture. I was like, he's going to be the villain.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's John Lithgow. Right. Right? So as we're working our way towards the end, I'm like, what else can it be but this? Because every piece of backstory that we get is leaving out the brother.
Yes.
Right? So they're tying up every loose end. What happened to mom? This. What happened to dad? This. Well, where's brother?
I did think that because they kept showing the brother in every scenario. And I was like, when are we going to get back to him? But I just didn't put it together that was him.
But so here's the thing. So now it's reaching the conclusion where it's becoming fairly certain that was it a surprise to you, or did you figure it out before
I was just more I was like, oh, yeah, okay. That was kind of how it was for me.
See, and that's kind of how I was, to the extent that, like, I was like, well, the longer they wait to connect them, the stupider it's going to seem when it finally happens.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And I was like, and it was. I thought it was idiotic. But what pissed me off is that people in the audience were like,
Right.
Oh, like that. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. Well, I got to admit, I didn't immediately put it together.
So, well, okay, so maybe that's just me, where I'm just weird, where I did make that connection. The two pieces that I connected were John Bernthal as a brother, and then the little girl. But I didn't connect that it was the little girl, but I connected
on the phone? You figured it was her?
I didn't figure it was when we see her as an adult.
Yes.
I was like, I'll bet you she's the voice on the computer.
So funny. I did not at all. And that was what I was going to say. This movie, to me, I thought it was like Jason Bourne meets like Kingsman. I was like, you know what I mean? Which Kingsman I really liked. But it knows it's nuts. You know what I mean?
Sure,
it knows what it's doing. It's kind of silly. And it's got this network, like, oh, we're in this suit store. But really this crazy high, secret agency sort of thing. And I was like, oh, well, this is like a nice home, where we treat kids with these, conditions. And it's like, no, but we're also this crazy secret agency. I was like, what?
Yes. It's funny because you wonder if they had their mind on it being some kind of a franchise movie.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
But didn't that just seem kind of nuts for a movie that didn't feel nuts for like the first hour and a half?
Yeah, it took a bizarre turn. I mean, I didn't like how everything was tied together to the extent that, like, everyone knows each other. I didn't like the way J.K. Simmons is tied into the backstory. Like, it just felt too movie-ish.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't mind when we saw that flashback of him entering the building, and then later we see that it was him. I didn't mind that so much, but yeah, that he was. Well, I've read, and I'm taking this from someone else, but it's quite obvious. It's like he is basically Commissioner Gordon to Ben Affleck's Batman. That I was like, what? I don't know. Like I said, like it went from something that I thought was took itself kind of, seriously, and it went into sort of bonkersville.
It sort of crossed the Rubicon of stupidity. about halfway through.
And that's okay. Like, I'm down for that type of movie, but it just didn't, I wasn't prepared for it to become that. So I was sort of like, huh?
Well, either start the way you end or end the way you start.
Yeah, there was just, I don't know. There was just something so, like I say, mature and like sort of like it took itself seriously the way that it presented the first, 30 some minutes. And when Ben Affleck, one of my favorite scenes actually was when Ben Affleck's character was having lunch, and
what's his name, by the way?
Christian Wolf. And
I forgot.
Yeah, and Anna Kendrick's character, Dana Cummings, she is this accountant who has accidentally uncovered potentially shady things going on as an accountant at her company, and so Ben Affleck is brought in to figure out what the shady dealings could potentially be, or where they happened. So anyway, he's he has a hard time talking to people, looking people in the eye, reading people's moods when they're talking and whatnot. And I thought that was a really cool scene because she keeps talking to him, and he's not equipped to have this conversation. And I couldn't tell if he was annoyed, but then you learn that he actually he's trying to have this conversation with her. And I thought it was a really compelling and interesting scene for her and for him. And then there's a moment where he's got this thermos and she sees there's this big dent. She's like, how do you dent a steel thermos like that?
Yeah.
And then in my head, I'm like, it's because he's this tough guy and he has these adventures. Yeah. And I was like, what a cool little detail. And it's like, I just loved everything that scene represented for the potential of these characters in this movie and this whatnot. And I felt like then later when they explained how the dent got in the thermos, I was almost like, I kind of like not knowing. I kind of like that was just some random adventure he had.
I totally agree.
Yeah. But then again, yeah, it's, that to me was one movie, and then at the end where you have this woman who's running this thing from a high-powered computer at this facility for autistic children. So it just turned into something else, and I just wasn't putting it together.
Well, the other thing I thought about was, and I don't really have an answer to this, but like, what is it saying about autism?
That's the thing. I have a real good friend, one of my best friends, and she works with autistic children, and I wished she had seen the movie with me. Because I know, some of the things that she's told me with traits and things that she has to sort of work through to sort of communicate and whatnot. And so I was wondering what her take would have been on this movie.
Yeah.
How much of it is accurate and how much of it is... Because he would behave a certain way. It was almost like he couldn't cross a certain threshold of emotion. But then when it was required of him, he did.
But it's almost like if you're autistic, well, at least you can become a robotic CIA assassin.
Yeah.
I don't know what the message is exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I do have to say this. I think that Affleck certainly is not the problem with this movie.
No, I thought everybody was fine relatively.
Everyone does what's asked of them. I didn't buy the relationship with Anna Kendrick, to be honest.
I didn't at all. No.
It just felt completely arbitrary. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I was hoping it would be a thoughtful fall thriller.
Yes.
And this was not that.
No. And it's funny, I think part of the problem, which I said earlier, and it sounded like you agreed with, is it got a little boring in the middle.
Yeah.
And I lost track of why everything was happening. Like, and it's funny because Anna Kendrick's character kind of shows up, becomes this sort of love interest, and then she just basically disappears till the very end.
Disappears, yeah.
And I forgot, it was like, well, it's because, these assassins are after him and her, but then it's like, she just kind of she didn't get put in a safe house or anything, she's just back at her apartment. Right. And it's sort of, the why of the movie, I felt like at times I got a little lost because they kept introducing new threads, like the J.K. Simmons character, the brother character, and then even John Lithgow's character as the villain. I mean,
his motivation doesn't make any sense.
His motivation makes no sense. He's not really in it a whole lot for you to even sort of trust him, then not trust him at all.
Well, but that's the thing, is that his arc, because he's in like essentially two scenes.
Yes.
And in scene 1, he's like, we're building these things and they're helping kids and prosthesis. And then at the end, he's like, the kids, and we're, you're like, what the?
Yeah.
What happened here?
And then,
we missed the middle,
Yeah, and we're firmly in spoiler territory here. So basically, John Lithgow's character gets killed in a fashion basically similar to how he lived in the movie, which was forgettably as an afterthought. Literally, Ben Affleck and his brother are reconciling after punching each other's faces in, and they're exhausted, and they're talking and reuniting like, why'd you go to Dad's funeral, man? Blah, 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 blah. I miss you, man. And all of a sudden, John Lithgow's like, what's going on? And Ben Affleck just raises his gun, shoots him in the head. Lithgow just falls to the ground. He's like, anyway, so brother,
But and this is the thing. So, and by the way, so with that thing in my mind about them being brothers, I was noticing how during the movie it would always keep them from seeing each other. They'd just pass by, and so I'm like paying attention to that, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like you start checking stuff off in your mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are they doing that? But the thing is, I'm like, so is he forgiven for being a horrible asshole through the whole movie?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, So like, what happens next now?
Yeah, I know this is something you're not supposed to think about, but it was funny too. It was like he has his brother, Barenthal's character, has like 10 men that work for him, right? And they all just get wasted.
Yep.
And then it's just funny how he doesn't even like bat an eye. He's like, brother, like you know what I mean? Like his like associates all dead. But it's like
they're all dead.
May as well just be like little ants, or like just little figures that got knocked off, like G.I. Joe
his
figures.
whole
There's
life's work is over now. Like, what's next?
Yeah. There's just something about, I don't know. But then that's what this movie is. Like, you're not supposed to think about that stuff. But I did.
So, well, I mean, it's a thumbs down from me for The Accountant. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is. I don't even know that I'd recommend renting it, to be honest. Like, this is like you catch it on TV. And if you're interested, go for it. But like,
it's entirely forgettable.
If you have a list, I'd say go to your list first.
There you go. Yeah. That's our last word on The Accountant.
Yeah.
As we wrap things up, Brian, I mean, anything else you want to hype up to the audience?
Well, like I bring up, I write for the Bob's Burgers comic book, and you can find those out there at your local comic book shop. So feel free to check that out.
Very cool. And as for me, you can find me at my website, zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS corner.com. And also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews go up regularly, as does this show, as does the Nostalgia Theater show. You can also find me on Twitter, my newly verified Twitter account, by the way. I have that blue check mark next to my name.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
How does that work? Like, what is that? How do you...
I got an email from them a couple days ago that said, can you submit some documentation to prove who you are? And I did, and look this morning, and there's a check mark next to my name.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I guess it's some indication of me being a semi-public personality, I guess.
Yeah, my verified pal, Zaki Hassan.
There you go. So that's a thing. That's a thing that's happening, But you can also find me on Instagram at the same handle. And I feel like there was something else I wanted to put the word out about. I can't remember now. Oh, yeah, check out the next Nostalgia Theater show featuring my interview with Terry Erdman and Paula Block, who are authors of a new book celebrating the 30th anniversary of Labyrinth.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of a fun conversation. I had a really good time talking to them, so I think you'll enjoy that. That's next week.
Cool.
And with that, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll be talking about Inferno and also Jack Reacher, Never Turn Back, or whatever it's called.
Never stopping.
Never stop, never stopping. Jack Reacher 2, anyway. Yeah. But on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is Movie Film, episode 105. It is in the can. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zaki and